Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here with another Friday Reads. This is a 2-week catch-up because last Friday I posted my wrap-up video for Big Book Summer, so I haven't really been talking about what I'm currently reading. And it's been kind of a crazy time. Last weekend we went to a wedding in Connecticut, about a 5-hour drive each way, and wonderful, wonderful wedding, great weekend. Some of our favorite people. It was one of my son's best friends getting married. There are 3 of them, all named James, that met in kindergarten. They've been best friends ever since. They're all 30 now. The first James got married in June. This was the wedding of the second James. And so my son and his girlfriend were there as well. And their moms, the other 2 James's moms, are my best friends. So it was just such a delight. Wonderful wedding, great time. And yeah, I mean, being with the people you love. So not a lot of reading time on the weekend, but what I started around Labor Day, just when I finished my Big Book Summer reading, I jumped into my fall reading. You can check out my RIP video, that's Readers Imbibing Peril, an event I participate in every fall. It's super easy. The idea is simply to read darker stuff in the fall, which I love. I love fall. I love this switch after a summer of reading big books to fast-paced, suspenseful books. And so, but ironically, the first one I chose is actually a big book. What can I say? I'm hooked. No, this one, I gave it to my husband for Father's Day, and I've been wanting to read it ever since. So, Holly by Stephen King. Holly is Holly Gibney, the beloved character that readers have really become attached to because she's appeared in many Stephen King novels. Her first appearance was in Mr. Mercedes and the rest of that trilogy, Finders Keepers and End of Watch. And then she appeared again in The Outsider. The Outsider? I think that's what it's called. So what I really love, so lots of readers felt this way about Holly, that she's very quirky, she's an individual, she's very individual, and lots of readers liked her. But what I really love was what Stephen King said about why he wrote this book, centered on Holly, because he said in Mr. Mercedes, she was meant to be a minor character with a brief role in that one novel. And he couldn't shake her either. He said she just kept coming back to him. So she's got her own novel. So I'm only about a third of the way into it now. We did have a busy weekend. And then I had to set it down because we got home Sunday night. I had book group Wednesday at noon, and I had not started the book yet. So I sent my husband to the library for me. He very kindly went. And I had requested both the audio and the print book of The Last Garden in England by Julia Kelly. They had both come in. So Sunday night, I downloaded all of this onto my iPod and then started double timing it. It was my only hope. I don't read that fast, and I don't have a lot of reading time in a typical day, usually just before my nap and before bed at night. So yeah, so I listened on audio in every spare moment. I gave up for those 3 days. I gave up music, podcasts, watching booktube videos. Yeah, and I had my earbuds in. No matter what I was doing, I was listening. I didn't quite finish it in time for book group, but I got far enough in that there weren't too many spoilers for me. And I did finish it Wednesday night. So this is a book set in 3 different timelines, but that take place in the same location. And they're all stories of women. One in 1908 who is designing a garden for this big mansion. And I don't know what they call them in England, a manor. She's unique, especially at that time, because she is a woman garden designer, and also because she is moving slightly away from the formal English garden concept. She has some formal elements in her gardens, but she also likes to have spaces where things are kept natural, which is like a completely foreign concept at that time and in that place. So she's the first character. And then we jump to 1944. There are actually two characters that we focus on there. And it's during World War II, obviously. The house and a farm next door have been requisitioned for the war effort. The house has been turned into a convalescent hospital for soldiers recovering. And the farm is planting food, both to feed the hospital, but also for the war effort in general. So one of the girls, they're both young women. One of them is what was known as a land girl. And we all said in book group, we've read a lot of World War II stories. None of us had ever heard this term before. We also didn't know about requisitioning people's private homes during the war. But apparently quite a bit of that happened. She's got an author note at the end. So one is a land girl who's been sent to help work on the farm because the men are all at war. The other is the cook in the house who now has to share her kitchen with a cook brought in to cook for the hospital. So, and the woman of the house who's just lost her husband in the war and has a 4-year-old son, we also get her story as well. They kind of all intertwine. And then the third timeline is 2021, a modern day story of a garden designer who has studied the woman from 1908 very deeply. She provides a lot of her inspiration. And she's been hired by the new owners of the house to bring the garden back to its former glory, as much as possible being historically accurate. So you've got these three stories all tied together. We all liked, the characters are great. They're in-depth characters. They're each dealing with challenges, so there's some depth here. They're all interesting, complex women characters, which we all enjoyed. And we all liked the way the stories interwove throughout time, the way little details came together, particularly in the last quarter. She ties a lot of that up with, how the different women relate to each other, how their stories and their families and what they did tie into the other stories. So we all liked that. And in fact, the book got a very high rating among our group. I think it was like 7.6 out of 10, which is quite high. There wasn't a lot to discuss. There weren't a lot of thought-provoking issues here, but it was an interesting and enjoyable story. So I just finished that last night. So today I get to go back to Holly. Really looking forward to that. Holly's running the private detective agency that she started with Bill Hodges. She's hired for a missing persons case in their town, and she begins to tie it with other missing persons cases. This is one of those, it's not a whodunit, because the reader knows from the very first pages what is going on and who is doing it. And let me tell you, it is extremely gruesome. This isn't a horror novel. There's no supernatural stuff in it. It is a thriller, but yeah, the king can get gruesome when he wants to, and he does here. My husband had warned me of that. So I was prepared. So I also had to set aside my first audiobook for RIP, and that was The Curse of Crow Hollow by Billy Coffey. So I started that last week, had to set it aside to listen to The Last Garden as much as possible. And today I just restarted listening to it. This is set in Appalachia, in a hollow, in Virginia. The narrator's got a great accent, really kind of brings that place to life. It begins with a group of teenagers from town going up into the mountains to party. They go to this near an old abandoned mine, a place their parents have told them never to go to. So there are some secrets in town, some mysteries. The kids do go up there. It's not good. Things happen. They encounter the woman that everyone in town says is a witch. She lives up there in an isolated spot. They have a difficult encounter with her, and they go back to town believing that they've been cursed. And sure enough, the young girls who were in the group all develop these mysterious, horrible ailments. Soon there are signs of the curse spreading. And things kind of spiral out of control from there. So I'm getting close to the end. I'm still not entirely sure if this is going to turn out to be horror with supernatural elements. There are certainly some bizarre, unexplained elements in it so far, or if there's going to be a rational explanation and it's more a horror story in the sense of a town turning on its own people because of fear. So both of those elements are in there, and I don't know how it's going to come together. But it's been interesting and engaging, certainly a good fit for the RIP event. So that's what I'm reading and listening to this week. Please let me know in the comments down below what you're reading.